everybody. This is Sean V. Bradley, president of Dealer Synergy and the creator of the Millionaire Car Salesman Network. And I got a special guest right here. And I got a guy named Chuck Schwan. Okay, sir, you are a BDC manager, internet director, and all-around universal executive. You do a lot of different things at the dealership, correct?
I don't change oil and I don't hire and fire people.
Okay, and you're at a Subaru dealership. What's the name of your store?
Muscatell Subaru.
Okay, and where are you guys located at?
We're in Moorhead, Minnesota, right next to Fargo, North Dakota.
Okay, absolutely. I've got some really good friends at Sanju, Two Harbors out there. So my guy Keith McKenzie's out there. So I've been to Minnesota a bunch of times. It's beautiful. All right, so give us a little bit of your background, man. You came highly recommended as an executive. So tell us real quick, just a little of your background, how long you've been in the automotive industry and what's your journey been like?
I've been in the automotive industry since 2009. Started with another organization selling Hondas, moved into parts and accessories with them. Ultimately, eventually I became an internet sales manager for them. Went and did finance at a power sports store for about a year. And then I've always been a Subaru fan, and Ward Muscatell came along, and the opportunity presented itself. So here I am. I've been here for the last 7.5, almost 8 years now.
Okay, and what would you say that your expertise is?
Honestly, right now, I would say third-party vendor integrations is probably where I spend most of my time. Working with AI, training AI, talking with vendors to make sure that the products are working together. Working with my sales staff to train them up on how to, make artificial intelligence work for them, to work with them, not to compete with them, not to take their jobs.
Okay, so let's try this. Can you give me your personal definition of AI? We've heard the clinical version of what it is, but from your expertise on the dealer level, tell us how would you define artificial intelligence?
Artificial intelligence is a tool that, much like any sales representative that you're hiring, it needs to be trained. It'll do what you tell it to do. The nice thing is it'll do it the same way every time. And it's really just another tool to take care of the crap part of the job that no one likes, the getting engagement, the making all the text messages, emails, all those things. That's the part that honestly, it's not a lot of fun. We actually end up, half of us end up using the same template over and over and over again if we're not using AI or some variant of it. So in a lot of ways, we sound more robotic than the AI. So to me, the AI is just it's just another tool to generate engagement. And once we've got the engagement, then we just train it to hand off to our sales staff.
Okay, let's talk about that. So artificial intelligence, in your opinion, solves or helps solve a big problem with engagement. So let's unpack that. So my data shows that emails connect at only 2 to 4%. So there's about a 2 to 4% read open rate. And I can tell you for a fact, because we track tens of millions of outbound calls. And let's just say on the internet calls, I'm not saying BBAC calls, I'm not saying data mining calls, I'm talking about fresh internet lead calls. You're only looking at about like 6, 7, 8% connection ratio. So that means if I make 100 outbound calls in 8 or 9 hours, I will be lucky if I talk to 6, 7, 8 people. So now for many years, I mean, like hell, decades, to be honest with you, we suffered in our industry with engagements. There's a phrase, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, which means that the amount of effort that you've got to put out there to try to get an appointment or a sale was very hard. I feel like you do that artificial intelligence AI definitely helps with engagement. So let's break this down for people that don't understand AI. Correct me if I'm wrong. How this works is if you've got an AI tool, if you've got a technology product, a software product, it might be attached to your chat. It might be attached to your website. As an API or as an integration, or it might be a separate tool or software that acts. But what it does is it almost like replicates real people. So if you had an army of people that could write text messages, or you had an army of people that could write text, emails, or if you have an army of people that could try to reach out to a prospect, pretty much that's what AI is simultaneously, like omnipresent because it's software. It's not a physical person. It's not like they have to
Right.
clock in or clock out. AI could be working simultaneously. So if you've got a store that's a large store, let's say a store that gets 1,000 leads or 2,000 leads a month, well, the AI scales accordingly. I mean, the AI could deploy to all of those opportunities in real time. Am I correct? Can you flow? That's what I want you to unpack
Yes.
that. Now,
Yeah.
tag, Bryn. So continue where I'm saying. Give our
Yeah. Yeah.
audience a
Absolutely.
breakdown of how this works.
Absolutely, Sean. So yeah, and you're right. It is the worker that never stops. It never gets frustrated. Someone can tell it to bleep off, and the next message is, sunshine and roses, and it's all happy. It doesn't care. Um, you know, it doesn't get down when it gets told no, when it sent 100 text messages that no one responded to. And we are one of those stores. We do, I think the last time I looked, we did like 900 to 1,000 leads last month. So we're a pretty decent size store as far as leads. And some of those are duplicate leads and whatnot. And, there's always some garbage in there as well. But regardless, we have to respond to all of them. And the nice thing is the AI doesn't care. It just goes, it does its job. If I don't like what it said, I'll just flag it, and the team on the back end will go ahead and massage the wording so that it sounds more like what we want to do. But that's really no different than if we're running a BDC and we're listening to one of our BDC reps and they keep saying the same thing and it's not quite right. It's not necessarily wrong, but it's not quite right. We coach them up, right? It's no different here. And yeah, so this year it helps a lot. And I'm going to give you a good example here. So our first month of running our current AI program, we've been using AI for quite a while, but our current program,
Real quick, what company are you using?
right now we are using Podium.
Okay, and how would you rate the experience with Podium?
Exceptional.
Okay.
And the reason I've like I said, I've used other ones in the past as well. And they all work well. The thing with that I've liked about Podium is when I've had issues, they listen. They always want to know not just what to change, but why I want it changed. So they're really trying to understand the, what does Muscatell Subaru need from the AI? What does the industry really need it to say? Because, I mean, it will give, I don't want to say canned responses, but if you don't train it, it'll just keep giving the same kind of general response over and over and not really put any personal touches or any regional influence or anything like that on it. So depending on keywords, we can program it and teach it to say the right things. Now with that, and I say it's been exceptional. The customer support's been exceptional. Our very first month of using Podium, which was August of this year. The artificial intelligence, who we've named Alicia, they officially call it Jerry, but you can name it whatever you want. We named ours Alicia, and very first month, Alicia set 64 appointments, 50 of which showed up, 40 sold.
What? Repeat that.
64 appointments set, 50 shown, 40 sold.
Okay, hold on. And period.
You have the same look everyone has when I tell them that. And
In
granted, and I will preface that with a little bit here, Sean. I see the look of confusion on your face here, but I'm going to preface this a little bit. We do have a lot of repeat and referral customers.
right,
Some of these were people that were probably going to come back and buy from us anyway. We do have
right.
a very good reputation in our area, but regardless of that, 64, 50, 40. If you divide that in half, and let's say half of them were going to show up anyway, that's still one hell of an ROI.
Okay, so question for you. Why do you think you're having so much success with this besides that some of these people are prior customers? Because to your point, even if they weren't, you'd still be having a super high level of success. So with all your background and your knowledge, isolate the success variable. What's making your AI campaigns so successful?
Honestly, I think a lot of it is just that one, we were able to train it to do what we needed it to do and use the word tracks that we wanted. But two, it always remains professional. It doesn't get frustrated with a question. It doesn't give short yes no questions. It or yes no responses to questions. It's always digging. It's always trying to engage. It's always trying to get that next piece of the conversation going. And honestly, most of the people have no idea that they're talking to an AI. We get a lot of people that come in and ask for Alicia Johnson, and we don't have anyone here officially, in human capacity by that name. So people come and ask for her all the time. Um, so yeah, I really think it just comes down. Oh, and the obvious one here that I failed to mention was she talks to them when they want to be talked to. Some
Ooh,
people get off work at
explain.
2 in the morning. She'll text them at 2 in the morning, you know, and she'll continue to follow up. And and that's probably the other thing is the
Wait a minute.
follow.
So how does she know to call to text at 2 o'clock in the morning? You just open up a can of worms there. So I want to understand that. So that would be if I was a dealer, I'd be nervous about that, But like, so how does it know that it's okay to text this person at 2 o'clock in the
So
morning?
if someone sends in a lead at 2 a.m., they've gone online, they fill out a form request, or they've started engaging with our chat. And we use Podium for both the AI or for the chat and for the third party leads. But if someone sends in a lead at that point in time, 1 minute later, she'll respond. And they've she'll request their permission to text them, and it's worked for us. It's
No,
worked
that's
very
awesome.
well.
I think that's amazing so again, because she's reacting to when the prospect sends the internet purchase request. And obviously, if she's responding and they respond to that response, she's going to continue the conversation. But I want to digress to what you said because I think that you summed it up with one statement. I don't know if you even realized it. You said she's ready to go. She's ready whenever, and then that's not the case with employees at the dealership, the average dealership, you come in the morning, people like, even if the start time's at 9 o'clock, people come in a couple minutes after 9. They come in and they don't get right to work. They're going to hit the restroom. They get some coffee. They may have a cigarette. They're going to talk to this person. And there's none of that. There's no cigarette breaks. There's no potty breaks. There's nothing. Like, your AI is getting to work right from the rip. And she doesn't have to take breaks. She doesn't have to take lunch. She doesn't have to go to sleep. She's omnipresent, which means she's present all the time. And she's working, both proactively and reactively. So I think that it's like the work ethic of artificial intelligence. The work ethic is massive. They're constantly cued to try to, create engagement. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
That's exactly what you're hearing from me. And one of the things that Podium does that I like a lot is they actually take a break. Like, if someone sends in a lead, it's not an immediate response because obviously it knows about what it's going to say within a couple of milliseconds of receiving the prompt from the customer. But it intentionally waits 1 minute to respond each time, and that makes it feel more human. It and I mean, I've gone through, I've tried to break it. I'm pretty notorious for breaking AIs. That's one of my favorite things to do when someone asks me to demo it. Is I will go through and I will try and break it, and I did that. I mean, we had ours running. Like I said, we launched in August, but in July, I spent most of that time trying to make it not work. Just kind of sandboxing it, and it. I'm not saying it can't be broken. It's just it's it's been well trained at this point.
So I've been through a bunch of Podium demos, and I have a lot of clients that use Podium, and like you, they've spoken very, very, very kindly about Podium. One of the things that I was blown away is the level of sophistication, because we hope that our salespeople are product knowledge experts, but I've watched Podium AI personally, where the prospect asks on the website about comparing, a vehicle with the competitors. And not only is the AI, responding appropriately, but they're embedding links. It's
Yes.
crazy. So it's not like bot technology, like see spot run, see spot jump, but no, this is full conversational AI. There's a
Right.
big difference of conversational AI versus bot technology. So again, bot technology is if they say this, you say that. If they say this, you say that. But it doesn't aggregate all the other information. True AI, from my understanding and my experience now, is that it learns from everything. It learns from the recorded freaking phone calls. It learns from the verbiage, what questions were asked, what were the responses. It learns from the text message dialogue back and forth. It learns from the emails back and forth. If the prospect is talking about, that they're looking for, an Outback because they've got a dog named, Jonathan, that fits in there, the AI could extrapolate this type of information, this field intelligence, and structure it in. I've seen crazy shit where they have an embedded link to, let's just say, for example, an Outback that might have like a dog cage in the back and say, hey, you asked a question if your dog would fit. Take a look at this right here. It's
Right.
mind blowing. Am I wrong? Am I
Yeah,
spinning,
we
vapors?
haven't taken ours to that level yet to do that, but yes, it's definitely capable of doing all of those things. And it is based on keywords still. It's still going off keywords, but
Give us some
and that's
examples. Give us some of the things that you're like blown away with. Like, how you said what you said to me, and you saw my eyes, and like when you told me what the results were and how many appointments, like you knew that I was gonna be surprised because everybody's surprised. I'm gonna challenge you to help me, and my audience understand, what have you been surprised about that the AI has done or said or sent a link. There's got to be a couple things you're like, damn, this is pretty cool.
Car Salesman Podcast is on your radio.
This episode is brought to you by Podium. Here's a question. How much would your business change if you had one more employee who worked 24/7 to turn every lead, including the ones that come in after hours, into a test drive, sale, and more money for your dealership? Meet Jerry, Podium's new AI BDC. Jerry is a lead conversion powerhouse designed to respond instantly to every incoming lead, to answer questions accurately, keep leads warm, and schedule test drives, all without direct human supervision. And the best part, with a seamless handoff to staff on the sales floor, customers will never know they were interacting with an AI to begin with. See how Podium's AI BDC can help you sell more cars by visiting podium.com/MCS. That's podium.com/MCS, or click the link in the show notes below.
I mean, there's a lot. I'm trying to come up with them on the spot here. So thanks, Sean.
My job.
No, I get it. The biggest thing that I've seen is just watching it overcome the hurdles. I can't think of a specific example, but just watching it overcome the the hurdles of, oh well, I want a white Outback. Well, we don't have a white Outback on hand. Would you like to talk about ordering one, or would one of these other options work for you? It gives you like three other options. Um, and just the things that I guess we kind of take for granted as humans that we think that we'd normally ask. The thing that blows me away is how, in some ways, and I'm going to offend some people the way I'm going to say this
No,
here,
no, this is my show.
but
Listen, I'm brutally honest. I'm real. This is the real as it gets.
in some ways, I will trust artificial intelligence over natural stupidity any day.
Explain. I agree,
Well,
but
with AI, like I said, it makes mistakes. It can and does make mistakes, and it's going to do that. But so does everyone on your staff. The difference
exactly.
is I can break that habit with a quick prompt. Breaking the habit of someone calling an extended service contract an extended warranty, good luck. It's going to take years before you beat that on. I've tried. Not literally, but I've tried. So things like that. It's how fast it learns is probably the biggest thing. And like you said, it learns the dialect that we use locally. We don't have it listening to our phone calls. We don't record our calls at all. Um, but yeah, like I said, it just learns how we talk, how we text, because we can text through there as well. We can text as Alicia, and a lot of times we'll just when it is a handoff, when it is, Alicia set the appointment. One of the things that I've asked my team to do, and they've been very, very good at it, and they've had great success, is they can go in and they'll just say, "Great, I see that they'll ask first if you worked with anyone here before because we want to make sure that our customers get back to the salespeople they've worked with." But then they'll do a handoff to themselves, like, "Great, when you come in on Thursday at 3 p.m., please ask for Chuck. Um, here's this picture," and they'll send a picture of themselves sometimes. So um, that part's been really, really cool on how we've been able to make the AI part of our team.
So let's talk about this for dealers that have never used AI. How do you recommend that they use it? So if they got Podium, for example, or whatever AI that they have, what is the basic way to start? You know what I mean? Because I'm sure there's levels to everything. You know what I mean? There's black belts for a reason. You know what I mean? But
Right.
if somebody's a white belt and just getting started with AI, how do you recommend that at the very least they get started by this? What is that? How do they get started?
I would say start small. Don't jump in with both feet because you're going to get overwhelmed. Like if you took phones and chat and the third party vendor and all the different platforms that were available and tried to launch them all at the same time, you're probably going to overwhelm yourself and you're probably going to get frustrated. So I would recommend starting with something like chat.
Okay.
Starting with chat because
Well, explain how does that work?
if someone's on your website and they send you a text message, or that's how ours is set up through Podium, is you text in. So they've already opted into texting. The AI then comes in and gets that conversation going. Like, "Hey, I see that you were looking at this gray Forester. Um, are there any specific and they'll send a link to it. You know, are there any features or details that you'd like to know more about, or is this just one of the vehicles that you're looking at?" So you can train it on how you want it to respond to your chats. And the reason I say with chats, you're not going to get as many chats as you do normal leads, most likely. So when you have the chats coming in, you can fine tune it a little bit more in real time. It's not as nonstop. And from there, once you've got it answering the questions the way that you like, the way that you feel comfortable with, then I would roll in. Yeah, I'd roll in the third party, so pulling it straight from your CRM. We use Vin Solutions. It has an API back and forth. It'll write into the notes what's been said by the artificial intelligence. So you've got a dialogue of what's been said there. So all of your information ends up back in the same spot ultimately, which I think is important to especially to salespeople. You don't have to have two different screens up going, they said this over here and this over here and all that. So yeah, start with chat. Then I'd move to your third parties. And honestly, one of the new features I've had a chance to demo when I was out in Utah visiting Podium that I think is going to be really, really, really cool once they fully launch it and everything is the artificial intelligence tied into the phone system, so into the voice recordings. They're going to be able to, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, Sean, so I apologize.
No, this is great.
With their phone system, you're gonna make a phone call. "Hey, Sean, I see that you're having a conversation. You tell me that you're gonna go, Colorado fishing, then you'll be in next week sometime." The AI will extrapolate all that out, create bullet points on it, put it back to your CRM, so that your call log will be there of, okay, Sean will be in next week. He's going fishing in Colorado. While he's there, he's going to visit his aunt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all the little cool things that you can, when you call back, it's all personal now. Like, "Hey, Sean, hey, how was your trip to Colorado? You still planning on coming in? Do you see your aunt when you're out there? Any luck fishing?" All those things that just make it easier to have a conversation rather than selling a car. I mean, selling cars, it's a lot more fun to make friends than sell cars. And once you make friends, it's easier to sell a car.
So How are the employees at the dealership? Do you have a BDC or you just have salespeople?
We have salespeople.
Okay. How do the salespeople like or dislike the AI?
Um, there was some frustration at first, especially with the chats. Um, we had it as a free for all on the chats before, so first to respond got it. So we had some people who were absolute ninjas that would be in there, and within seconds, between two or three people would get, I don't know, 90% of all the chats, and that team did not like it. That section of our team was not a big fan. The rest of the staff,
But
though,
is it because it wasn't because of the AI, it was the fact that they didn't feel like they were getting their fair share because this was working so well and a couple people out of the whole tribe were benefiting. So I want to be clear,
right?
it wasn't AI itself.
No,
It
it
was
wasn't the AI.
it was working so well, they were pissed that they weren't getting more of the AI ups as that they thought that they should.
Right,
Okay,
right,
well, that's
and
not
it
a
would have been
bad
the
problem
same.
to have.
It would have been the same if we'd have rolled in a BDC to do it,
Right,
honestly.
right, right, right.
So, ultimately, the they weren't real happy. We had to come up with some rules of engagement on when you can take an AI chat. I mean, because the AI will ask for help and it'll send a message directly to the sales team that, hey, Alicia needs help. She can't answer this question. And there was always the, well, who's supposed to take it at this point? And what we decided on was, hey, if it's your customer and VIN solutions already, you can take it. Um, if it's not assigned to anyone, then I grab it. If it's been sitting there for 15 minutes, maybe I'm tied up with things. Like I said, I do everything. I do KBB purchases for the store. I do third party integrations. I do podcasts. There's times where I get tied up, and if it's been more than 15 minutes, generally speaking, they can jump in and at least answer the question, and then we'll try and round robin them out after that. But if someone I'm also not going to take something out of someone's name if they put a bunch of time and effort into it and got them into the store too. So, yeah, like I said, the frustration was not with the AI. The AI did what it was supposed to do.
Okay, so now is there anything that you are excited about the future? Like what's coming down the pike for AI that you're looking forward to? And you being a very progressive utilizer of AI, I'm sure you've had conversations with Podium or whoever of, hey, can we do this or whatever? So talk to me about what you predict. I care your opinion, man. What's your prediction of how AI is going to evolve for car dealers and how car dealers are going to utilize AI going forward?
I think the biggest thing that's going to happen is there's going to be more integration into more platforms. And by that, I mean your vAuto, VinQ users out there that are, I think it's going to start tying into there to be able to, from a salesperson or a sales manager position, depending on how it's set up, I think you're going to be able to get more of a realistic, real time. Hey, this is what the cars are worth. That this is where I think we should be on trade, and all those things. I think it's just going to speed things up and it's going to streamline things. And I think we're going to finally get to the point where, as a manager, you don't have to have 3 monitors and 16 programs up and running just to sell one car. I
Mm.
really think that it's going to start consolidating everything back down, compiling it into a single software point or a single touch point where it can do everything. I would not be surprised at all to see some of the big AI players making a big push into the CRM market. In fact, I think they should, because I think they're coming out from the point of the future rather than trying to make a legacy system work with AI. They're taking an AI system and making it into CRM. And I think that's really where they need to go. And obviously, there are some in the industry that are doing that already.
I just find it fascinating because I've been in the industry for 26 years now, and when I first started selling cars, it's like, when you're a kid, you hear from like the older people, well, I used to walk 10 miles in the snow. Like I remember when there weren't any CRMs. We had long paper desk logs with black and red sharpies and a yellow highlighter, and that was our CRM, man. And
Right.
now we're talking about artificial intelligence, and we're talking about conversational AI and all the stuff that it does. It's just crazy. But you said a couple things throughout this that I want to bring up to our audience. It's not perfect. AI is going to make mistakes, but so does humans. But the difference is that it's probably faster and easier to correct or train AI. And that's the thing that people, especially older people, can't wrap their minds around, is that when we talk about training a child or training an adolescent or a young person, even a college person, they've got to go through training. They've got to learn from experience. So without being silly, I'm going to freestyle for a second here. I want people to understand that the way that the AI learns, there's a couple of different ways. One is before you launch, um, proper AI, like I know Podium does this, and I'm sure the other AI companies do the same thing, is they're going to ask you a bunch of different questions. They're going to ask you questions on tone. How do you want your AI to handle this situation, that situation? What do you want them to say if this happens? So there's a lot of pre-programming the AI before you go live. So I'm going to say pre-programming or pre-customization based on your mission, vision, your values as an organization. You're going to be able to do what I call preliminary training or get your AI preliminary ready to engage prospects. But then I think a lot of the training, more of the training is going to happen once it's live. Every single time this AI engages a prospect, any prospect, it's going to learn. They said this is what the prospect says. And it's going to aggregate and it's going to articulate all this data. It's going to form patterns. It's going to realize that if it talks to 100 people or 1,000 people, if it said this, how many people responded this way? And it's going to learn, it's going to teach itself from experiences, but then also on an individual prospect level, the more field intelligence about that particular, person, whether it is the website searches, the third party searches, the phone conversations, the email conversations, the text message conversations. I think that one of the most powerful values of AI, besides increasing engagement, is the fact that it learns and it
Yes.
evolves. I mean, if you think about this for a second, I'm going to ask you live on the air, what do you think there's a ton of problems in the automotive industry, but what do you think one of the biggest problems are for dealerships? Let's see what you think. That's a pretty broad statement and question.
Ooh, one of the biggest problems.
Mhm. Just blurt something
Honestly,
out.
probably responding to a customer in the way that they want to be responded to,
I think that's a problem. It's bigger than that, but
or not responding at all is a big one.
but
But
even bigger than that, bigger than those two things you said. Those are problems, but here's what's even bigger: attrition. We
yeah,
have a 70 to 80% attrition ratio. That means out of the 18,100 franchise plus dealers in the United States, plus another 40,000 independent dealers, we're talking about almost 60,000 car dealerships between buy here, pay here, independent, and franchised. Okay, between regular, highline, exotic, that's a lot of car dealerships. We're talking about 500,000 salespeople. Out of all these people, what NADA says is that 7 to 8 of those people out of every 10 are not going to be there within 1 year. How could you run an organization when there's constant turnover? How could you maximize the CRM, the DMS, or any other tool if we're constantly replacing people? Attrition is one of the biggest problems. Furthermore, because of the pandemic, what did we do before the pandemic? I'm going to get on my soapbox right here for a couple minutes and I want your response. Before the pandemic, we had bell to bells. Shit, we had to work 12-hour days because we needed to get the most minimum of production. The average salesperson for the last 35 years has sold on average less than 10 cars. Okay, so for over 3 decades and a half, I guarantee you the data shows that the average, and maybe even longer, but at least the last 35 years that I was tracking this stuff, is that the average salesperson sells less than 10 cars. So, and that is with a lot of dealers working bell to bells. So what happened before the pandemic is that we had to overcompensate for mediocrity. I'm going to repeat that. We had to overcompensate for mediocrity by doing bell to bells. We had to overcompensate by flooding the showroom floor. Why did we have more salespeople than we needed? Because we couldn't get each individual one to be as productive. Then what happened was the pandemic. And then we had all these laws, these rules, and people were dying and all sorts of sad shit, right? But then what happened was we had less people. They worked less hours. Why? Well, because some people were no longer on this planet, right? But also because they didn't have to, because with the massive inventory crisis, if you had inventory, you could sell it and you could sell it for record prices at list, over list, etc. Now, here's the problem we're in right now. The problem that we're in right now in November of 2024 going into December, going into the last month of the last, of this year, going into the 2025 is this. We have less people than before, they're less trained, and they're working less hours than ever before. What are we going to do?
The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast is on your radio.
This has been the most in-depth training I've had in my lot of years in the car business.
We went from 60 cars to 156 cars a month in 3 months.
NAMAD, the entire Toyota Chicago region, as well as the top automotive groups like Koons, Lithia, and Norm Reeves have all used Bradley On Demand to train their team.
They're the most comprehensive training company I've seen, and they by far have the best support system.
Doing 50 cars a month, topped out at 80. I can tell you that the Bradley On Demand training will get you to the next level.
And guess what? The world's #1 car salesman, Cody Carter, shares his exclusive strategies right here. You want his secrets? You gotta have Bradley On Demand.
What I learned from Bradley On Demand is you can teach an old dog new tricks. I thought I knew it all.
I thought it was just going to be the same old stuff. It's all new. It's all fresh. It's genuine material.
Bradley On Demand is just an incredible power tool. Every dealer should take advantage of that.
Our clients love Bradley On Demand. We've generated over $12 billion of additional revenue for our clients.
Went from selling 75 internet leads to we've hit almost 250 the last couple months.
I doubled my income. I sold 21 cars for 4 months straight.
If you're still not enrolled in Bradley On Demand, you're missing out on the best virtual automotive training in the world. Enroll now or contact us for a free test drive of the platform today.
To me, AI is a natural fit because it's going to be the best possible resource to combat attrition, to combat mediocrity, to combat, not being open to prime time. Now you're in Minnesota. What does the average dealership, what time does the average dealership close in Minnesota? Honestly.
Probably around 7 p.m.
Okay, guess what? That sucks. You know why? Prime time to connect on the phone is between 6 to 8 p.m. So if you close at 7 p.m., that's like getting to the Super Bowl halftime and say, hey, thank you, it's the halftime, and you never touch the field the second half of the game. How am I going, if I am telling you that prime time to connect on the phone is between 6 and 8 p.m., but you shut your doors, even if it's only once or twice a week, you shut the doors at 7, that's bad. But can you imagine if you shut the doors Monday through Friday at 7 or worse, at 6 o'clock? AI could combat that. Hey, you're not open on Sundays, but guess what? Your AI could be open on Sundays, answering questions, making appointments. You don't have to worry about overtime. You don't have to worry about sexual harassment with AI, at least not that I've seen it so far, right? You don't have to worry about many things. You've got an army of digital employees that are able to work 24/7. Am I correct?
You're absolutely correct. And I will say this, and this is going to be a little shout out to my own store here.
Yeah, go ahead.
The reason attrition didn't come up is I've been here almost 8 years and I'm one of the new guys.
That's cool. That shows you the type of organization you're in. But bro, I don't just going get random people on my show. I have rock stars on the show. You know what I mean? Because
but I have worked in, prior to this here, I've worked in, some sales floors where, they'd hire, 10 new people a month, wouldn't even bother introducing myself till they'd been there for 3 months because I just have to forget their name next week anyway. It's, sad but true in a lot of those cases. And, I'm hoping that, I hope that you're right, that, maybe the dealers are starting to look at this a little bit more. And this is broadly speaking now, that dealers are looking at this a little bit more like, hey, what can we do to keep our people, and then not beat the ones that are there to death. And I mean, you're right, it is a no-brainer. It'll reach out when your customers want to be reached out to, period.
Now, listen, just because I want to be clear, this is not a commercial for Podium. Shout out to
No,
Podium, one of our sponsors and everything like that. But again, this show is about success. It's about what tools work. So can you just tell us though, like again, you seem very, very knowledgeable. Why did you pick Podium? There could have been other AIs. I know I like them, but I'm gonna keep my opinion myself. Why do
no.
you like them, and why did you choose them?
More than anything, just their willingness to listen, they're just super eager to hear what my needs were. Before they even told me how their AI worked, they said, well, what are your needs? What doesn't your current AI do for you? What does it do really well? And, I went through all of those things and we talked and they showed me examples of what it could do. And I got in touch with, I don't know, the coolest thing about Podium to me is I'm sure if I look through my phone, I probably got 40 different phone numbers of different people I can call depending on what's going on or questions that I have for them or things, or requests, feature requests. And they were just so responsive. That was my biggest thing is they were just so responsive. They gave us more access to train the AI than some of the others did. A lot of the other ones, there's more about, this is how it is. You can send in a feature request and we'll maybe make that change if we get enough people that agree. But this here was so much more of a, oh, well, you need that. Okay, well, here's all you have to do. Just, write this prompt for what you want to do and go.
For me, I don't even know if you know this, but do you know how big Podium is? Podium has 110,000 clients and they have over 7,000 rooftop clients. So for me, when you are a multi-billion, billions and billions and billions and billions with the big capital B, billions of dollars, when you're worth that much money and you have 110,000 clients. I've dedicated my life to over 20 plus years owning this company, and we've got 4,000 rooftops. And I thought I was a rock star. It's like, that's cute, boo boo. We have 110,000 clients. It's like, damn, there's levels to this shit. You know what I mean? Like they're a
Right.
huge company. And when you have a huge company, they've got data scientists, they've got programmers, they've got developers, they've got billions of dollars, like in their coffers, so to speak, to be able to do R&D, research and development, to be able to bring, bleeding edge technology. So for me, I'm a martial artist. I've been training in Gracie Jiu Jitsu for over 20 years. Why would I go to like a local place with the brown belt or a first degree black belt? You know what I mean? That's what everybody does. It's what's convenient. Me, for 20 years, I've been driving almost an hour every weekend to Center City, Philadelphia to train with world famous athletes and UFC coaches and martial arts. Why? Because I want to go to the source. I want to go to the very best subject matter expert to be able to get my jujitsu training. You know what I mean? So if I am a dealer and I'm looking for artificial intelligence, I don't want to look for a company that's the cheapest or, the easiest to have access to. I mean, even though Podium's priced very well and it's easy to hold them, but I'm more looking who is the subject matter expert in this category? Who is the Leviathan? Who is the preeminent expert for artificial intelligence? And to me, I think you picked a great company to partner with. And from what you said, they've been very accommodating and everything, correct?
Correct. And I'd say this is another thing too, because there are some big billion-dollar companies out there that are dabbling in the AI world too.
Dabbling.
And, with varying levels of success. The difference is most of those other billion-dollar companies were bought, not built.
Ooh,
And
explain. I know where you're going with this. I love that.
well, there's some very large industry giants who I'm not going to throw under the bus, but they probably know who they are if they're listening, that,
They're listening.
they've decided that, oh, we need to get on this AI train as well. Let's call Sam Altman at ChatGPT and, have him, work with him to build out an API that works directly in our program. Well, most of them, not all, most of them failed when they tried to do that. I've tried a number of them and I've locked up most of them. as far as their AI actually working. Podium, on the other hand, built out, and yes, they partner with, I believe they're partnering with ChatGPT on this here as well, but it's a true partnership. They've built their product to do what it's supposed to do. They've built upon, all the things that they do. It's not something they acquired. It's something they've built out. It's something that they have the engineers in-house that have built all their products. Now, when they bring AI and they build build AI into that product, it's yeah, it's like I said, built not bought.
All right, last question I have for you, because I know that it's the second half of the month. You got to sell some cars like candy bars over there. Um, so just so I can put this in perspective, if I'm a dealer, let's just say that my daughter's also an F&I manager at a Subaru dealership at RK Subaru. So it's a dealer group. They have Chevy, Kia, Subaru, and Toyota. So she's an F&I manager for the group. So let's just say the Subaru dealership there, RK Subaru, right? And I think they're on Podium. I'm not really sure, but let's just go Subaru to Subaru. They're going to sign up for AI, and let's say somebody goes to the website and with the chat. So with the chat feature, instead of it being like a bot or like managed by the staff, it's going to be artificial intelligence. It's going to be, in Podium's case, Jerry, or whatever you want to rename it to be. So let's just use Jerry. So Jerry is going to respond not like a chat bot, but like a real freaking sales agent to be able to answer questions and then go for the appointment. Okay, so I get it. So that's through chat. Okay, another way is through online reputation. You know what I mean? So when somebody, leaves a review, there could be, the AI that's going through there. Now, what other ways, because I know you said this, but people listen to the podcast at different parts of it. So let's just, as we go to close out, so
Sure.
using chat AI or using reputation AI, those are two other ways. How could you use AI to help you follow up with all your leads? How do you do that one?
So for us, we only have it following up with our internet leads at this point in time. So if someone's sent in a form, whether it's from, we've pared down our third-party vendors as well. We use dealer.com, which is our web host, and we use Auto Trader. Those are the only two. Oh, and KBB, I guess. Those are the
And you
only
have VinSolution CRM.
VinSolution CRM.
You know that I was the one that just did that massive national VinSolutions workshop last week, right?
Right.
Like about a week and a half ago in Chicago, that was me. So we had like 200 plus, I think it's almost 250 rooftops there, plus Toyota manufacturer that's there. So let's go through this. Let's just say my daughter's dealership, the Subaru dealership, they're on VinSolutions just like you. If they've got Podium, how do they use it to follow up with internet leads? Explain.
So it's actually a built-in integration. So you can just go in through VinSolutions without going into the whole details here. You can go through VinSolutions. You can enable it, assuming obviously that you're a paid subscriber for Podium, and it will push that information as soon as Vin gets it. It'll push it over to Podium. Podium will analyze it, see what's going on. Was there a trade involved? Which stock number is there? A stock number is an ILM lead. What type of lead is it? And it will then generate its response. It'll send a text message out and an email out, and it'll record those messages back into VinSolutions. It records it as a note, so it won't kill the clock for you. That's the one thing that Podium doesn't do as of yet, is it will not kill the clock for you. But it will send a note back. We still want our sales rep to call. We know that if we can get them on the phone, we have a better chance of getting them. But anyways, yeah, so it goes to Podium, conversations happening, and it sets an appointment. It sends an alert to the sales rep. It sends an alert to VinSolutions, again in the form of a note. It's not setting the appointment yet in there, but it puts a note in there that customer will be in at 11 o'clock on Thursday, and it handles all of our leads for us. I mean, like I said, we use it for sales leads and others.
So question for you, how do you not step on each other's toes? What's the CRM process if you've got AI? Because this might confuse people. This is great. I love this conversation. So I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you. Is how do you program the AI automation versus your human resources so that you guys aren't stepping each other's toes? How do you make it synergistic without redundancy?
And sometimes, honestly, sometimes there is some redundancy because I do want my reps to call. I do want them to send out a quality email. And honestly, I want them to try and text as well because sometimes I have a sales rep here. His name's Greg. He's been with us for 27, 28 years, something like that. Sometimes no one's going to respond to anybody but Greg. That
Right.
text message needs to come from Greg. I don't care how nice Alicia is. Greg's the man. They're not talking to anyone else. So there is some redundancy, and
Okay.
and that's okay. But we have Alicia listed as she identifies herself as our offsite assistant. So she's
Okay.
not a sales rep. She's not a salesperson. She's an offsite assistant here to assist.
Okay. Now, how is the AI doing it? Like, so let's just go through this. In your Subaru dealership, you've got Vint Solutions, you're integrating in the Podium AI, and it's mapped out. Let's just use a name. Jenna is submitting an internet purchase request on a 2025 Subaru Outback. That's realistic, right? As she submits the internet purchase request, what I'm hearing from you, two things are going to happen simultaneously. One is your AI is going to get to this, and as an offsite assistant, your AI is going to reach out. And then simultaneously, there's a CRM action plan, CRM processes in Vint Solution, which is
Right.
going to do two things. It's going to have automated content that's going to be either emailed or text, and it's going to have, tasks and activities sent to your salesperson, your BDC. My question is in the AI, in the Podium side of things, is the AI sending communication through email, text, chat, or video, or a combination of all four?
The AI will send predominantly text messages. It will send an email as well. It won't send video per se, but within there, our rep can jump in and send a video message. So they really work hand in hand. Like you can take over, it's not too uncommon to see, in any industry really, where you'll start texting with someone and they're like, oh, hey, I'm Randy. I'm the, I've been asked to take over. Like they'll say like mid sentence because it's the same phone number that you're texting from. And then Randy will go out and take the picture of the vehicle or whatever it is that you're looking at. And it's no different here. They, everything just kind of works hand in hand. We can turn the AI off if we've got engagement and we don't want her to follow up anymore. You can turn off the engagement. You can assign the engagement within Podium to the sales rep who's got the engagement. So really, it comes down to who gets engagement first, and then it always is going to default back to the salesperson to sell the car. Though we try not to. I don't want Alicia or any AI to try and sell something over a text message.
No, that makes sense. What I like what you just said though, the bottom line is this, is that you have the ability to have multiple resources. You got technology resources and you got human resources, both synergistically engaging the prospect with the sole goal to escalate from lead to engagement as quickly as possible. And again, I think it's makes more sense for the AI to be maximizing text messages. 96 to 97% of all text messages get read. It's a higher engagement, it's a higher response versus, emails. The CRM, Vin Solutions can automate emails. I like the conversational AI to be through text messaging. That makes the most sense. Well, listen, my friend, Chuck, you utterly crushed it today. Thank you so much for sharing your time and experience. And as I like to do is let me give you the last word. So if there's something you want to say to our industry, if you want to just be remembered by something in particular, like just give me whatever knowledge, expertise, feedback, or best practice tips you want to close out the show with.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Sean, for having me on here. Just an opportunity to talk about AI in general. It's something I'm very passionate about, something that I've been working on for a long time. To any dealers out there that are listening to this here, do your research on it. Look into it. It's not a fad. It's not going away. It's here just like the internet. It's not going anywhere. It's just going to keep evolving. It's keep getting more complex and smarter. And either get in the forefront of it or get the hell out of the way, because those that do embrace it are going to take over. That's my honest opinion.
No, I would agree with you. AI is very, very powerful, but it's in its fledgling stages. It's still new. So we always in business, I'm an entrepreneur. I own multiple companies. My goal is not to compete. My goal is to dominate. My goal is to create an unfair competitive edge and utterly obliterate the competition. And so I'm telling everybody right now, you have an amazing resource, an amazing tool called artificial intelligence, which most people don't understand. Most people are not maximizing. Hell, most people are not even utilizing. Forget about maximizing it. So if you get off your butt and you start to do the research, like Chuck just said, do the research, try to understand. You don't have to jump all in. Start slow. Something is better than nothing. But I am telling you, what Chuck is telling you is that you will be able to create a competitive edge for your organization by utilizing and maximizing artificial intelligence, conversational AI for your dealership. So Chuck, again, I've been doing this for a very long time, and I am thoroughly impressed with you personally and with your organization and what you've accomplished. Like, those numbers are staggering. And I love it. You're using AI with CRM, with Vin Solutions, but you're doing it in a special way that's giving you profound success. So thank you so much for sharing your experience and your knowledge on artificial intelligence to the millionaire car salesman community. We appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Fast response times can help you beat the dealer down the street. Get a tool that can respond to your leads in 15 seconds or less and help you book test drives 24/7, nights and weekends, so you can sell more cars. Podium's AI BDC is a conversational AI employee who sells, schedules, and talks with customers day and night and sounds like your best sales rep. Transform potential interest into sales today with Podium. Visit podium.com/MCS to see what AI can do for your dealership. That's podium.com/MCS or click the link in the show notes.